Welcome to the deep dive. You know, today we're diving into something pretty fundamental, something that could really change how you see, well, everything. We're talking about vibration.
Yeah, it's not just some new age fad. This concept's been around for ages. You see it with those early Greek philosophers, and then boom, it pops up again in 19th and 20th century science.
It's like it's woven into the fabric of reality or something.
Right. And I think the Hermetic teachings sum it up perfectly with their principle. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates.
Okay, break that down for me.
Well, they're basically saying that even stuff that looks solid and still is actually, constantly moving, it's all energy, just vibrating at different speeds, like a giant cosmic dance party.
So we're not just talking about like a swinging pendulum or the vibration on your phone,
Yeah.
right? We're talking about literally everything down to the smallest particles.
Exactly. The principle of vibration says that all the different forms of energy and matter we see are just, well, different vibes, different frequencies and patterns of vibration.
So like a universal dial. You twist it one way, you get a rock. You twist it another way, you get like a thought.
Pretty much, it's a spectrum. At one end, you've got what the Hermeticists call spirit, or the all. This is like the ultimate source of everything. It's pure consciousness, vibrating so fast it appears as pure stillness.
Like a fan spinning so fast, it looks like a solid disc.
That's a great analogy. And at the other end of the spectrum, you have the densest forms of matter vibrating way slower. And everything in between. That's, well, our entire experience of reality.
It's like modern science is catching up to this ancient wisdom, right? I mean, scientists now see matter and energy as basically forms of vibratory motion.
Right on. Science has shown that all matter, even if it feels cold, is actually vibrating. The molecules, the atoms, everything's in constant motion.
Like planets around a sun, or those tiny molecules jiggling around.
Yep, all those tiny vibrations. And it's not just stuff we can touch. Energy like light, heat, magnetism, electricity, it's all vibration too.
Didn't they used to think there was some kind of universal medium that carried these vibrations? I think they called it the ether.
Yes, the ether. It had a big role in old school science. They thought it was this, invisible stuff that filled space and carried light waves. Now, Einstein's theories of relativity kind of changed things up, but the idea of a fundamental fabric of space that transmits energy is still pretty relevant. And you know what? It actually lines up with this Hermetic idea of a universal ether.
So they thought this universal ether was like a finer, higher vibration of matter that connected everything.
Exactly. It's like the bridge between the solid stuff we see and the subtler forms of energy.
Okay, so this table and, say, a beam of sunlight, they're not really that different. They're just different vibrations of the same underlying energy.
You got it. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Science is still figuring out stuff like how things stick together, how chemicals react, and even gravity. But you know what? There's a growing idea that these might actually be different forms of vibratory energy, just like the Hermeticists thought all those years ago.
All right, this is all pretty mind-blowing. But how do we actually see these different vibrations playing out in the world? How can we wrap our heads around it?
Well, the Hermetic teachings use a really cool analogy. Imagine a spinning wheel.
Okay, got it.
Now, when it spins slowly, you can see each rotation and it's silent.
Yeah, makes sense.
But as you speed it up, it starts to hum.
Like a low growl.
Right. And if you keep going, the sound gets higher and higher, moving up the musical scale. But then, when it's spinning crazy fast, the sound vanishes.
The vibrations are too high for us to hear anymore, like a dog whistle.
Exactly. But it doesn't stop there. If you keep pushing, the wheel gets hot, then it starts to glow.
Wait, seriously?
Seriously, it goes from red to orange, yellow, all the way to violet. And if you could spin it even faster, it would move past visible light and start emitting invisible rays.
Like X-rays.
Exactly. And eventually, you get things like electricity and magnetism.
Wow, so it's the same basic thing, just vibrating at different speeds. It could be sound, heat, light, even those powerful electromagnetic forces. That's wild.
It really is. And the analogy goes even further. At super high speeds, the wheel would actually start breaking apart, first into molecules, then atoms, then even smaller particles.
Whoa.
And the Hermeticists say that those tiny particles would eventually dissolve back into that universal ether we talked about.
And if the vibration kept going up?
They believe it would move through different states of consciousness, eventually going all the way back to the source, to spirit.
I am trying to wrap my head around that. But hold on. You said earlier that when something emits light or heat, It doesn't fully turn into those things, right?
Right, that's important. It's not like the wheel transforms completely into light. It just hits a point where those higher vibrations are released, like they were trapped inside before.
Okay, that makes more sense. So we've got the science, we've got the analogy, but this whole vibration thing, it's not just about the physical world, right?
Right.
What about our thoughts, our emotions? Do they vibrate too?
The Hermeticists would say absolutely. Every thought, every feeling has its own vibration. And get this, they believe these mental vibrations can actually affect others.
You mean like telepathy? Or when you walk into a room and you can just feel the energy?
Exactly. They call it induction. It's like how one tuning fork can make another one vibrate at the same frequency.
I feel like more and more people are talking about this kind of stuff these days.
It definitely feels that way, and the key takeaway is that our mental states, just like physical things, have their own vibrational patterns.
And if we understand that, maybe we can learn to change them. That's what mental transmutation is all about, right?
You got it. Mental transmutation is all about consciously shifting your mental state to a higher vibration.
So instead of feeling down, you can choose to feel more joyful, more peaceful.
Exactly. And the Hermeticists believe that those who master this principle can do some pretty amazing things.
Like they can control their own mental states and even influence the minds of others.
That's what they teach. They say these masters can basically use one vibration to cancel out or change another one.
So it's all about mastering the energy of your thoughts.
In a nutshell, yeah. And it really ties together a lot of what we see in both science, especially quantum physics, and spirituality. It's all about energy and frequency.
Okay, let's talk more about that quantum physics connection. It always seems like there's something deeper going on there.
Well, quantum physics shows us that the world is much weirder than we thought. Particles aren't just solid little things. They exist as, like, clouds of possibilities. And it's our observation, our consciousness, that makes them collapse into a specific state.
So are you saying that our minds actually influence reality?
It's starting to look that way, and then there's quantum entanglement. This is where two particles are linked, even if they're miles apart. If you change one, the other changes instantly.
Whoa, that's like some next level interconnectedness.
Oh, right. It suggests that everything is linked in ways we don't fully grasp yet. And it kind of echoes what spiritual traditions have been saying for ages about the unity of all things.
So quantum physics is giving us a scientific basis for some of these ancient spiritual ideas about the power of our thoughts.
I think so. And from a spiritual perspective, different emotions have different vibrations. Love, joy, gratitude, those are high vibes. Fear, anger, sadness, those are low vibes.
And then there's the law of attraction. Like attracts like. If you focus on the good stuff, you'll attract more good stuff.
Exactly. It's like you're sending out a signal. If you broadcast positive vibes, you'll attract positive experiences.
It's a concept that seems to pop up everywhere. You see it in Hinduism, in Hermeticism, and of course it's gotten really popular recently with authors like Rhonda Byrne.
Yeah, The Secret really put it on the map.
Hmm.
And quantum physics lends some scientific weight to this idea. If everything is energy, and our thoughts are energy too, then it makes sense that our thoughts could shape our reality.
Okay, so if all of this is true, how do we actually work with these vibrations? How do we tune into the good stuff?
It all starts with awareness. You've got to pay attention to your thoughts, your feelings, recognize their energy.
And what about our subconscious? Doesn't that play a big role too?
Huge role. It's like the control center for our beliefs and habits. It runs the show most of the time, whether we realize it or not.
So if deep down we believe we're not worthy of good things, that'll mess things up.
Totally. It's like sending out a mixed message. You might consciously want something, but if your subconscious is saying no way, it's going to create resistance.
So we need to reprogram our subconscious, get rid of those limiting beliefs.
Exactly. Tools like affirmations, visualization, and taking action can really help with that.
Any other practical tips for raising our vibration?
Oh, for sure. Breath work is amazing. Just taking some deep conscious breaths can shift your energy big time.
Ah, good old oxygen.
And of course, meditation. It calms the mind, connects you to a deeper sense of peace, and really allows you to tune into those higher frequencies.
It's interesting how breathwork and meditation show up in so many different traditions, from ancient spirituality to modern therapy. There must be something to it.
Absolutely. And it's not just them. If you look at different spiritual teachings, whether it's Buddhism, Christianity, or ancient Hinduism, they all emphasize the power of our thoughts and energy.
It's like they all knew about this connection long before science could explain it.
Right. Even the Sanskrit phrase Aham Brahmasmi, which means I am the universe, really resonates with this idea of oneness that quantum physics is pointing to.
Okay, so let's get practical. What are some specific steps people can take to start using the law of attraction in their lives?
First, get clear on what you want. What are your intentions? What are you trying to attract?
Set those goals.
Right. Then visualize. Imagine yourself already having those things, feeling the joy, the gratitude.
Make it real in your mind.
Exactly. And then take action. Look for opportunities. Follow your intuition. Don't be afraid to make things happen.
Don't just sit around waiting for it to fall in your lap.
Right. And one more thing. Practice gratitude. Appreciate what you have now. It's like a magnet for more good stuff.
Makes sense. But what about those times when doubt, impatience, or fear creep in? They seem like pretty powerful roadblocks.
They are, but the key is awareness. Don't judge yourself for those feelings. Just notice them and gently shift your focus back to what you want, back to those positive vibes.
Easier said than done sometimes, but I get it.
It takes practice, for sure, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. Trust the process and know that you have the power to shift your energy and create the reality you desire.
Well, this has been a truly fascinating deep dive into the world of vibration. Who knew something so simple could be so profound?
I know, right? It really connects the dots between the tiniest parts of the universe and the biggest questions about reality, and it shows us that we have way more power to shape our lives than we often realize.
I'm definitely going to be paying more attention to my own vibrations from now on.
Me too. And that's something for all of us to consider. What can you do today to raise your vibration, to bring more positive energy into your life and into the world? It's a question worth pondering.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep those vibrations high.